All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Zeb Wellborn. I am with Chris Romer from the Vail Valley Partnership. And I got an email from Dave Kilby from W.A.C.E. Last week or so. And he said, Zeb, you're not using the ad wizard. I think you should be using it. And to be honest, I just haven't had the time really to look into it. And I also would be worried about how to like leverage it to get the most out of it. So I said, who should I reach out to? And he said, Chris, because Chris does a good job with doing that. So that was kind of my intention for chatting with Chris today. And then I figured might as well record it and share it with others as well. So Chris, that was the question for you is how have you leveraged the ad wizard from W.A.C.E?
Let's take a step back in order to take a couple steps forward, Zeb. So for awareness through those who might not know, the ad wizard came out of a W.A.C.E. chamber branding project a couple of years ago. A pretty extensive study that talked about what chambers are and what our businesses expect us to be, and really provided a complete brand analysis and study of the Chamber of Commerce industry. The ad wizard came out of that branding study and is available to W.A.C.E. members at a really nominal cost. I think it's $50 as a one-time fee, so it's a rounding error for most of us. Yeah. And it's not even an annual fee, it's just once. So that said, there's a variety of tools within that ad wizard that people should research and check out. Try to leverage where appropriate that messaging and the messaging being the chamber is. So we know as an industry that we really struggle with telling our own story. We do a good job, again, collectively as an industry, telling the story of our members, telling the story of our events and our programs, but we don't really tell the story very well about us, about what we do, about what are the opportunities for businesses to understand what the chamber really is. So this campaign, the chamber is collaboration. The chamber is courage. The chamber is community. And I think there's 10 or 12 different words that all start with C. And they text, and they can be customized with your logo, your chamber logo, and your call to action and your photography. So it's showing your area and your members, and leveraging this nationally researched positioning statements around different topics that we know are important to businesses and communities and members in a way that is very, very cost effective and is really what we've found. And we were a relatively early adopter, not in the first group of people that were really the case studies, but really in that second group when it became publicly available. And we've leveraged it, Zeb, in a lot of ways. We have posters in our conference room showing our community and showing some of our youth apprenticeships and showing our state capitol visits. We have on some of our social media, on our Twitter feed, we have the Chamber Is banner across the top. We're leveraging it at our programs and events. We have pop-up banners where our pop-up banners are there to reinforce for our members who attend of what are some of the things we're doing. And again, these are all customized with our photography and our logo. And we're using it, we use it in our print advertising, and we use it in our email newsletters. We're really looking at where can this message be appropriately incorporated into our communication channels. So when people come to our office, they see it. When they're at our events, they see it. When they're subscribed to our newsletter, they see it. Our social feeds, they see it. Just to continually reinforce that core brand message about who we are and the things that are important to us. So that was a lot of me talking. It's a campaign that I'm a huge fan of. I think W.A.C.E. and for transparency alert, I was on the board when this went through, and I'm still a board member and a past chair of that group. So I have a little bit of a investment in this from that standpoint. we really try to utilize it across everything we can.
I've been involved in the Rotary, and I know that the Rotary had something similar-ish to that kind of program, and being in marketing as well personally, and that's how I got involved in the chamber industry. One of the questions that I have is that it's easy to get something like this and then like be gung-ho with it for maybe like a week, or like you get it, you're gung-ho with it, you do it, and then it kind of withers away. Do you have any advice? Like, how do you like create a process, or how do you make sure that you're taking advantage of it over time and not just get that one big influx of excitement and then it kind of dissipates, it goes away?
Yeah, it's such a fundamental question. And I think it's really essential for people to incorporate this into your marketing and communication plan, to avoid being thrown in the deep end. The program like Wizard and the W.A.C.E. Chamber Is campaign, you really want to find I think it launched with 10. I think they've added a couple. They had a few COVID specific. So there's lots of ways to customize this. And you pick the ones that are appropriate to your organization. You pick the ways that it's appropriate to communicate to your members. For us, I mentioned conference room, social, print advertising, event banners, newsletters. I would encourage people to really be surgically tactical on how you're using it. Where can you incorporate this into your marketing plan, into your communications plan, where it makes sense and is authentic to your organization? And if you do that, say maybe it's only at our office. When people come in, we want to reinforce this idea. So maybe you have a pop-up banner and a couple message point that you want to really get across to your prospects. So you only use it on your social media or your print advertising. Find the things that are appropriate and do it in bite-sized components so that you build it out over the course of a year or 18 months or 2 years that your marketing plan might exist, where you do avoid that, that frequency bias of, oh, this is a new thing, we're going to play with it, and then we're going to get bored of it and it's going to go away. Just make the commitment of building it into your plan and having that regular cadence to keep it in front of people.
And then I want to play dumb for a second. When I think some people, when they see something like this, it's like, well, how does that really like help my chamber? How does it impact? Like, do you have any specific stories or maybe some specifics about ways that you've leveraged it where you know that it's impacted or made a difference in what you do?
I love that framework. And when I play dumb, it's usually not play. It's just me being dumb. So I think having that framework is really good and important. The answer for that, I'll share a specific example. We have 4 posters in our conference room. Again, the chamber is, and we picked the ones that we thought were most impactful. And typically I will sit with those behind me. So those sit behind me. To this point, we host leads groups, we host member meetings, we host our leadership program in the conference room, and we will commonly have people, you see their eyes start to look at the poster and you see them start to read this, and they'll inevitably say, I didn't know the chamber did this. I had no idea. Are those kids in the apprenticeship program that you're talking about? Are those people at the state capitol talking to our legislators? I had a board member, as I was doing their board member orientation, they just stopped and they said, I want to read all of these. And this is a board member. They've gone through our vetting process. They've gone through our nomination process. They've been engaged in committees. And they've just stopped me in our orientation meeting and said, I had no idea, right? So again, that's a very specific example of how it does that. And I'll share another example. We use it in our print advertising. We do a full page ad. We're in a small town, right? We're in a small community, 50,000. We have a daily newspaper. It has great reach to a lot of the population. And we run the ad about once a month, not necessarily every month, depending on the content, but we include it on a regular basis, so with a regular cadence. And all of people I've known in the community for 20 years or more, oftentimes members for a long, long time, since before my tenure at the organization. And they'll mention it to me. Oh, we saw your ad with the different things you have coming up next month. And we saw that you're doing this, and it was from the Chamber Is, and we had no idea. That's like, the Chamber I know doesn't do that. The Chamber I know does parades and parties and pancake breakfasts and other stuff. Like, I didn't know that you were involved in political action at the Capitol, and I didn't know you were this or that. And we try to talk about that in a lot of our communications and a lot of the things we do. But sometimes this just reinforces the story you want to be telling to your community at large and to your members and even to your board members and the people in your leadership classes and everything else. So it's a very easy turnkey tool that helps reinforce your value proposition.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think this is probably my last question, but I know that you're the CEO. You probably have somebody that handles your marketing. So from a CEO's perspective, is how do you encourage your team or whoever's handled the marketing to leverage those tools? Is there any tips and advice you have to make sure that they're taking advantage of it as best as they can?
Yeah, I think I go back to the idea of including it in your marketing calendar and including it in your cadence. I think many chambers have, a regularly scheduled newsletter, e-newsletter. You have your websites, you have your social, you have the other things that you're doing, be it even using the text on radio, whatever it might be. And what is the right cadence for the brand message versus the programmatic message, right? And I would encourage every chamber to make sure you're utilizing a brand message in addition to your tactical, tangible things to reinforce who you are and what that value without engagement might look like. So for us, that's really what it comes down to, is including it in the calendar, making sure that we're balancing it across all of our communication channels. We're not hitting any one communication channel with the Chamber Is message all the time, Zeb. Yeah. Like, it's always at our events and it's always in our conference room, but we're not doing it weekly on social. It's a matter of what is the right cadence at the right time. When we're in the legislative session, we're using the messaging, the Chamber Is Courage, around being the voice for business. When we're in our membership drives, we're probably using the Chamber Is Community, the Chamber Is Collaboration. So we're really being surgical and tactical about how and where and which of the numerous templates that we use. So it's working with the marketing manager on what message we're trying to promote at that point. Is it a workforce message? Is it a generic brand message? Is it a programming message and government affairs message? And leveraging the Chamber Is one that matches the best with it at that point. And so it just becomes another arrow in the quiver of how we tell our story.
So you mentioned something about cadence and with brand message and like your normal tactical stuff. How about tips on the cadence? What should that look like, or what does that look like in your organization?
Yeah, I think it's probably going to vary a lot depending on your community and your chamber and your reach. I think there's probably some chambers that need to focus much more on the brand of who the chamber is and what the chamber does. And there's probably some that have a very strong brand awareness and need to focus a little more on the driving attendance to the programs and events. But for us, and to answer your question more specifically, we try to balance it, and I would say maybe close to 50-50. Newsletters, e-newsletters are a little more weighted towards the what, by nature of the fact that those are already your members. They've opted into the list. They probably know a little bit more about who you are, but we still sprinkle in the brand message there, in addition to the other things we have in our newsletter, like we all do, be it programs or events or public policy issues. For a chamber that is working to move towards really being more of that 3C catalyst, convener, champion model, away from the more event-driven model, you probably want to lean more on the brand message to really encourage and reinforce the fact that you're more than the gala dinner. You're doing the public policy work, you're doing the leadership programs, you're doing the government advocacy and political action and the things that your members have told you you need. So it's going to vary a little bit for us. Newsletters are much more programmatically focused, and our print advertising, some of the other things are probably leaning a little more towards the brand side. But overall, we try to be a 60-40, 50-50.
Chris, I want to thank you for taking the time to chat with me about this. It's just something that I appreciate Dave for reaching out. So Dave, if you're listening, thank you for the nudge. I am definitely going to take advantage of that. And Chris, I appreciate you for telling me how to best maximize the usage of it. I'm going to get started on that this week. So thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I look forward to seeing what you guys do there, Zeb. You guys are doing good work.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want to throw out there before we say goodbye?
No, just reinforce for people that this is a completely turnkey tool, and is probably the highest impact investment you will ever make at your chamber for $50.
Yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer, right? Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks, Zeb.